A man doesn't need a full conversation to judge you. He needs 4 seconds. And psychologists now confirm it's these 9 specific details he notices first. Some will shock you, but one might ruin your day. Before we go into each of the details, let's first understand what the 4-second judgment means. Psychologists call this thin slicing, the ability of the human brain to make a fast, instinctive judgment based on very limited information. This process happens without conscious planning. It's an ancient survival function, and studies show it can take less than half a second for someone to form an impression that often stays fixed. For men assessing women, this instinct is especially rapid because it mixes primal wiring with learned social patterns. A man's eyes move automatically towards certain details before his rational mind has even processed why. In research on first impressions, scientists have found that men often assess approachability, health cues, and emotional openness almost instantly. They are not consciously listing traits. The brain does it for them, scanning micro-expressions, posture, and voice tone in a flash. This isn't about fairness or morality. It's a deeply human mechanism, one that operates whether or not anyone intends it to. While you are standing still or simply walking into a room, a series of rapid observations is already shaping a silent profile in someone's head. Understanding this isn't about fear or paranoia, it's about awareness. Knowing which details the male brain picks up on in those first moments means you have insight into a process most people never think about. It gives you the ability to decide what you present, rather than leaving those 4 seconds to random chance. The question then becomes, what exactly are those details? Detail 1, her eyes. Eyes are among the first features men focus on, and it isn't just about their shape or color. The human brain is wired to read emotional signals through the eyes faster than through words. When a man meets your gaze, his mind is registering more than physical appearance. It's noting energy, focus, and whether the connection feels open or guarded. Psychologists studying interpersonal trust have found that consistent, natural eye contact is strongly linked to perceptions of honesty and warmth. If the eyes dart away quickly or seem unfocused, the observer often processes it as disinterest or avoidance, even if that isn't true. Conversely, eyes that hold steady but remain relaxed suggest attentiveness without aggression. This balance is subtle but powerful in forming an impression within seconds. Men also read emotional accessibility through micro-movements around the eyes. Slight narrowing, a hint of tension, or a softening of the muscles can signal very different emotional states. Because these cues are involuntary, they can communicate more than the words that follow. In those 4 seconds, your eyes may already have answered the unspoken question, "Can I trust her?" Detail 2, mouth and lips. The mouth is another key area of instant assessment. Men notice the shape of the lips, the default posture when the face is at rest, and how the mouth moves during speech. Fuller lips have long been associated in evolutionary psychology with signs of youth and health, while thinner lips are often subconsciously linked to maturity or restraint. These associations are not universal truths, but they persist in human perception patterns. More telling than shape is how the mouth communicates in moments of stillness. A slight upward curve at rest can create an impression of openness, while a downturned or tightened mouth can suggest tension. Men register these cues before any conversation starts, and the interpretation often happens automatically. In studies of facial recognition, observers consistently assigned personality traits based on resting mouth posture alone. Movement also matters. The way lips part or press together when speaking can add layers of perceived warmth or defensiveness. These movements combine with other facial cues to create an overall emotional reading. In those few seconds, the mouth has already contributed significantly to the silent judgment forming in the observer's mind. Detail 3, posture and movement. A man's perception begins the moment you enter his visual field, and posture plays a decisive role. The human brain rapidly calculates how someone carries themselves, scanning for alignment, openness, and spatial presence. An upright, balanced posture is often processed as confidence and readiness, while a collapsed or inward posture can signal withdrawal or uncertainty. Movement reinforces or undermines this first visual impression. Psychologists who study gait analysis have found that even short clips of someone walking can lead observers to accurately guess emotional states. A smooth, steady pace is linked to self-assurance, while irregular or hesitant steps often read as discomfort. These interpretations form instantly, without the observer consciously analyzing them. The way you occupy space is another element men register. Taking measured steps, allowing natural arm movement, and keeping shoulders relaxed signals comfort in your own presence. This nonverbal language speaks before any words do, and it has a lasting influence on the overall impression created in those first moments. Detail 4. Her voice. Voice tone is one of the fastest channels for emotional information. Research shows that men respond strongly to certain vocal qualities, often before they even register the words being spoken. Pitch plays a role, but the real driver is the emotional resonance carried in the tone. A voice that is steady, clear, and naturally modulated tends to be perceived as confident and engaging. The pace and rhythm of speech also matter. Speaking too quickly can trigger an impression of nervousness, while an excessively slow pace may be read as disengagement. A balanced conversational rhythm communicates attentiveness and self-control. Men process these auditory signals almost instantly, linking them to subconscious assessments of compatibility and trustworthiness. Volume is another factor. Voices that project clearly without strain are often interpreted as strong and self-assured. A voice that trails off or lacks projection can be read as uncertain. Because these reactions occur at a subconscious level, they carry weight in shaping the first impression within seconds. Detail 5. Scent. Scent is a powerful yet often underestimated part of first impressions. Men register smell at a primal level, and research into human pheromones shows that scent can influence perception before conscious thought kicks in. Natural body chemistry plays a role, but so does the choice of fragrance. A light, consistent scent is often processed as pleasant and inviting, while overwhelming perfume can create sensory overload. In studies on attraction, men have shown measurable changes in mood and attention based on scent alone. This reaction happens without active decision-making. The olfactory system connects directly to brain regions that process emotion and memory. Subtle scent cues can also trigger associations with cleanliness, vitality, and even lifestyle. Because smell is tied so strongly to memory, a distinctive scent can leave an impression that lasts far beyond the initial meeting. In those first seconds, scent can set the emotional tone for the entire interaction. Detail 6. Clothing energy. Clothing communicates before you speak. Men often register the overall energy of an outfit, how it frames your presence, rather than the brand or price tag. Color psychology shows that certain shades can evoke specific emotional responses. For example, warmer tones often feel approachable, while cooler tones can create a sense of distance. The fit and coordination of clothing also contribute to the message being sent. Well-fitted garments that allow ease of movement are generally processed as signs of self-respect and intentionality. Outfits that appear overly restrictive or chaotic can signal discomfort or lack of clarity in self-presentation. These judgments occur rapidly and without conscious calculation. Texture, fabric, and accessories also play into perception. Men register whether clothing appears cared for, whether it matches the setting, and whether it supports or detracts from the overall impression of ease. In just a few seconds, clothing choices can influence how every other detail is interpreted. Detail 7. Facial micro-expressions. Micro-expressions are brief, involuntary facial expressions that reveal genuine emotions. They can last for just a fraction of a second, but they are often noticed by observers on a subconscious level. Men are especially sensitive to certain micro-expressions because they can indicate sincerity, approval, or disapproval before any words are spoken. A quick eyebrow raise, a fleeting smile, or a momentary tightening of the lips can shift an impression instantly. These expressions are hard to control, and because they are tied to genuine emotion, they carry more weight than deliberate facial movements. In experiments, observers were able to accurately identify emotional states from micro-expressions even without context. For men forming an impression, these micro-signals can confirm or contradict other cues. A warm tone of voice paired with a flash of annoyance in the eyes creates a mixed signal that the brain records automatically. The result is an impression that feels off, even if the observer can't articulate why. Detail 8. Hands and grooming. Hands are often scanned unconsciously for signs of grooming and self-care. Clean, well-maintained nails, moisturized skin, and the absence of visible damage communicate attention to personal well-being. Men may not consciously think about these details, but the brain records them as indicators of lifestyle and self-respect. Gestures also matter. Relaxed, open-hand movements suggest comfort and honesty, while closed or fidgeting gestures can signal discomfort. In group settings, studies have shown that observers tend to trust speakers whose hands remain visible and expressive. This trust is established before the content of speech is even processed. Jewelry and accessories on the hands can signal social cues as well. Rings may indicate relationship status or personal style, and the way they are worn can suggest intentionality or carelessness. In the first few seconds, these elements combine to add another layer to the silent profile being formed. Detail 9. Overall vibe, feminine energy. This final detail is the sum of all the others, the overall energy a man perceives in those first seconds. Psychologists sometimes refer to it as non-verbal synchrony, the way body language, voice, and expression combine into a single impression. For men, this vibe determines whether they feel drawn in or kept at a distance. A presence that radiates calm confidence tends to make others more receptive. This isn't about perfection in any single detail, but about the alignment of signals, eyes, voice, posture, and movement all supporting the same message. When these elements are in harmony, the impression is one of authenticity and steadiness. Feminine energy in this context refers to qualities that men often process as inviting and engaging. Openness in posture, warmth in tone, and a sense of self that feels assured without force. In those 4 seconds, this unified presence can be more influential than any single physical feature. Now, you might be wondering why all of this matters, or what it means for you. Men may not be consciously aware of all these judgments, but they happen nonetheless. Once you understand which cues are being registered first, you gain the ability to shape that initial impression with intention. This is not about changing who you are. It is about choosing how you are seen in the moments before words can define you. Every one of these 9 details is within your control to some degree. By aligning them with the way you want to be perceived, you can influence the silent story being written about you. This isn't a game of manipulation, but of clarity, deciding which version of yourself arrives in those crucial first seconds. Awareness of these processes turns those 4 seconds from a blind spot into an opportunity. You can let random chance dictate the impression, or you can make deliberate choices that communicate your reality before the conversation even begins. Now, imagine this. A man sees you for 4 seconds and walks away. He's already formed a story about you, good or bad. But what if you could rewrite that story before he even speaks?